Hello everyone, this is Hayden Zeiss with Montessori Investments. This is our last video in our three-part video series where we're going to be talking about passive and active investing side by side. All right. So first I want to talk to you about what differentiates an active investment from a passive investment. The main differences are going to be the time involved, control, return on investment, and the risk. Passive real estate investing in a syndication eliminates much of the risk and time that's involved for the real estate investor. And this is an ideal way for somebody who has a busy job and maybe a family that they don't want to take time from. Because the greatest benefit of passive investing is that it's passive. There's hardly any time that's involved once the investment's made. Now, investors in a syndication, they don't have to manage their investment at all. And it's really similar to how your financial advisor helps you with your stock portfolio. It's a really good way for somebody who understands that real estate is a good investment and they want to diversify their portfolio, but don't have the time to do it, or even want to learn to become a landlord. Now, next is the risk involved. A passive investor's risk is limited to their initial investment. They're not going to be personally liable for any loan that's on the property. Now, also, unlike many other passive investments, the investment if it doesn't perform as advertised, the sponsor does not get paid. The reason this is done is to give the investors assurance that the sponsor isn't just in it for the fees. They actually have a vested interest in the performance of the deal, right? So getting into active investing, active investors, they've got total control over their investment, so they call all the shots. They're managing the property from their investment knowledge, moving tenants into the property, collecting rent. They make all the decisions. Passive investors, they have to trust the sponsor to make the right decisions. Like an investment advisor, you're banking on the sponsor's track record and investment experience to make good decisions. Now, I feel like a really good analogy to the lack of control in a passive investment is my wife's profession versus mine. She's a labor and delivery nurse, and I'm a real estate investor. She's not going to trust me to help deliver a baby, and I certainly am not going to trust myself to do it. I'm not a healthcare expert, just like isn't a real estate expert, in investments. She's not going to trust herself to have the ability to search or analyze or manage and then go and purchase a $5 million piece of property. She leaves that to the experts, just like I leave healthcare to the experts. Now, all that being said, it is nice to have control over your investments, but with that control comes a higher level risk. Since active investors are typically there are one or two individuals who own the property, they're going to bear all the risk when it comes to owning that property. And most of the time, an active investor has to personally guarantee a loan. Now, that said, greater the risk, greater the reward. And many times, not all the time, but most times when analyzed properly, active investors are going to outperform the return of a passive investor syndication. That's because they're not sharing any of the risk or the investment with any of the other people. Another reason why the return is going to be greater for an active investor is because of the time involved is much, much more. Think of your 401k or current portfolio. Your investment advisor gets paid for making the decision and managing your account. They're dealing with the everyday problems of running your investments. And as an active investor, you should get paid for taking care and managing your own investment, especially when that involves a 2 a.m. phone call and the basement floods or the toilet breaks. You should get paid for that. Now, these are not horrible things to take care of, and it's nothing that you should fear. Most of the time, as an active investor, you're dealing with pretty minor issues, but these issues are time-consuming minor issues. But it's just the reality of active real estate investing. All right, so let's move on to the pros and cons that are shared between active and passive investing. And perhaps the largest con of real estate investing is the lack of liquidity. Real estate, you cannot just up and sell like you would in the stock market. You've got to go through a process of selling the property, and that could take several months. Now, finally, I want to talk to you about the benefits of active investing and passive investing, what they share. All right. And really, it's most of the important things. Both active and passive investors get cash flow from the tenants paying their rent each month, right? If you're using leverage, each month your net worth is increasing because of the principal pay down. You've got somebody else paying your mortgage down. And this in turn increases your equity position. Also, you're going to get the appreciation on the property. You'll have the natural appreciation and then also forced appreciation if you increase rents. Then finally, both investments get tax benefits because both active and passive investing, the investor owns a portion of the property. Active investors own all of the property, while passive investors who buy into a syndication own a smaller percentage of a larger property. That's about it. Active investors, they get the control and higher returns while giving up some time and taking on more risk, while passive investors give up some of their ROI, but what they're buying with that is time. So I hope this video series gave you some insight on what types of investment strategies are going to suit your lifestyle. Both are great ways to build generational wealth. So whichever route you choose, they're both good ways. So make sure you like this video, share it if you can, and reach out to me with any questions. You can find my information at lanacerinvestments.com. Thank you so much, guys.